Hey everyone, Ponyo here. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of After Dinner Mints. Before we begin, I highly encourage everyone watching to join us in the Art Blocks Discord. For those watching us on the live stream, there will be people in the community chatting in the Art Blocks Mint channel. A link to our Discord can be found in the description of this video. As always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss an episode of our weekly show. And now let's introduce our guest for this afternoon. We have generative artist zJorge.
Hi, everyone.
How's it going, zJorge? How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Great. Thank you so much for joining me on After Dinner Mints. We have a lot to cover. And yeah, why don't we go ahead and get started? If you don't mind talking to us a little bit about your background.
Well, I come from a family of a lot of artists, mainly musicians. My uncle has been the maestro for the National Orchestra for 30 years, something like that. And yeah, there's a lot of art going on in my family, so I've been exposed to art since I was a little kid. But I went to study architecture in Brazil, and I lived there for 10 years. I'm original. I was born in Madrid, but I'm from Panama. My family is from Panama. Um, so it's a different of a lot of things. I study architecture in Brazil. There is a in Brasilia. There is a lot of modernism. Um, the style architectural style that comes from Bauhaus. So there are a lot of influences from the Bauhaus movement. Um, but I started doing generative art without being aware of that since I was a teenager. I was always fascinated by science fiction movies and science and technology, and since since the very first moment that I was exposed to computers and mainly graphical stuff, computer graphics, I was fascinated with it and wanted to do something with it.
Great. And I'm curious, I know you mentioned a little bit about, your family has a history of, creating art. Were there any specific artists outside of your family or maybe specific pieces of art that kind of caught your attention early on and made you want to create art in the future?
Well, as a teenager, not much. Um, I but I started early in the university. I was in a school that we finished a couple of years before most of the other my friends. So when I got to architecture school, I was still 16 years old. I turned 17 when I was in college. Um, and it was there when I was uh, exposed to history of art that I began um, to like. First, it was I think I was very into Salvador Dali for a while. Uh, I just don't enjoy now. I don't like Salvador Dali now, but I then Wilhelm de Kooning and Rothko. After the my Dali phase, I was very into de Kooning and Rothko, and then I looked and started reading some stuff by Kandinsky, and later I discovered Hilma Klim, which yeah, it was a little after, and I like the way that she was kind of visionary.
Great. And yeah, if you don't mind, I would love to know, what was it about the Art Blocks platform that made you want to launch a project on the platform?
Um, I think generative art. I think my art wasn't really collectible when I was um, uh, uh, once I realized that what I was doing was generative art. I um, I started doing a lot of stuff that wasn't collectible, right? And um, and then with that, when I went to art blocks, I realized that there was an easier way to connect with the collectors, and that was I felt it very natural. I felt it. Um, I felt it was the right way to create and collect generative art. Before that, I did a couple of installations. I was doing outputs with the plotter, and still um, wasn't aware that there was the G-clay printing. It was later on that I started investigating about that, and recently, just after Aithérios, that I discovered the aluminum prints, which I think also it's a great output for the type of art that I'm doing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking a little bit more about your projects and then also, your printing methods, especially on aluminum. I think that's some of those pieces looked incredible. And so, yeah, we'll definitely dive in that a little bit later on. Can we see some of your early generative art pieces that you created? I'd love to know, how you kind of started and kind of expanded over time.
Sure. I Let me show you. I think I can. This is one of the earliest generative art doing in P5. But before that, I was. Let me see. Before that, I've been doing a lot of experiments. Things that I. This is, for instance, this was. I think it. I started trying to do this stuff um, in 2011,
Can you
and
tell us about those pieces or this piece specifically?
this was just a study. Um, I I began to do the I began to do experiments with generative art without thinking those were gonna be the real pieces, collectible pieces, and um, let me show you also this.
Okay.
Let me see if I can.
I'm curious to know if the numbers, represent anything, or is that all, generated?
Amount of attempts. Those were attempts to put a circle where it fits.
Mm,
Yeah, and but because I was tracing the only thing that I saved about this, and the reason is because I was thinking those pieces didn't deserve to be shown, stuff like that.
mm.
Um, let me show you. This was recently rescued. I think it's a photo of a scan. It's a scan of a photo.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow.
This was 1994, and this was done by a plotter in AutoCAD, coming from a script in Autolisp, and did it on a paper that is translucent, and that paper is the one that is used to burn the blueprints that we used at that time. And it was very innovative to not do it by hand, but instead do it on a plotter. Um, it was like when we were shifting and starting using AutoCAD, very few architects were really using AutoCAD. They were still drawing by hand at the time. The brown areas that you see, this was by hand, done with a cotton and shoe polish in
Oh
the
wow.
back of the paper. So I was mixing, and I was doing that a lot at the time. I was mixing hand drawing techniques with with advanced plotting techniques, advanced at the moment, of course. But I was mixing technology with traditional um, techniques. I was using photocopy and gluing photocopies together to do big murals where I was photocopying parts of a human body, of a model. So yeah, it was weird stuff that I was doing experiments, but never really thinking of them as collectible art pieces. So when I came to art blocks, I was thinking this is the way that what I am doing can really become um, art that is collectible. These were this is I was walking by and saw this, and as an architect, I was thinking, hey, you know, we have something in mind in our minds to evaluate each of them if it was going to be tilted right, tilted left, or straight. You know, so let me do programming, some programming that will, uh, let's say, will be approved by the architect, but it's going to be the computer. So I started. My first attempt were this, which, as you can see, has very little resemblance to that.
Mhm.
But this is what was at the beginning. And I like it, so I saved that one. Then I started on trying to understand better how was the behavior of this, and then came with this algorithm that you can hit 100 times, and 100 times would be something that resembled that pattern, in a different way. So I would say that this was really my first uh, fully generative art project on the web. Um, and I call that Brisolel, which is an architectural element, and it actually is going to be my next project that I would be working on for art blocks.
Great. Cool.
These were also experiments that I was doing with Bezier, um, and I call this series gravitational pain.
Looks like some
Probably
of those
going to
looks like some of those might be nice for, pen plotting potentially.
totally, yes. I did a couple of experiments for pen plotting, and actually that one wasn't a collective show, and was collected by a collector. I probably have, I think I have a reel of that. Yeah, this one.
Oh, is
This
that
one,
that's the actual process of it getting plotted. That's really cool.
yeah, yeah, that was a piece that was collected on that show.
Nice. Well, yeah, I definitely want to talk a little bit more about pen plotting because the first time I learned about that was when I met you in Marfa back in October. But first, I would love to, dive in a little bit about your first project that was launched on Art Blocks called Libertad Parametrizada. Can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind that project?
Um, Libertad Parametrizada was here's when I started. It was a uh, web application maybe, where people could go there and do experiments and and build um, their own piece. Um, and let me see if I have that still up somewhere. Probably yes. So it starts kind of with a promotional language and everything, and then it will slowly turn gray. While you're reading this, it will
Hmm.
slowly turn gray, and then you get this, and you kind of configure everything.
You can mess around
And
with the parameters a little bit.
yeah, that's what is paramet. I mean the translation would be parametric freedom.
Okay.
Um, and well, it's okay that I'm going to spoil the experience here. Um, at the end, it says like sign your creation, and when you go and sign your creation and hit next, it says your creation. This is not your creation. It's it, and it talks a little bit about how you are doing something constrained by the parameters that I gave you.
Hmm.
And it has like you evaluate your your experience before and after I tell you that this is not your creation. You can still download your piece after you've finished, you know.
Hmm.
Um, but the idea behind this is to realize that we think we are free, but there are a lot of constraints, society constraints, your laws in your country, but there are also your body constraints of your body. Your life has a certain amount of time and laws of physics, stuff like that. But you just get used to what you have, and you think that that's a that's a degree of freedom that you have, and that's it.
Hmm.
And so it is a little bit about that.
Okay.
But obviously, for art blocks, um, we don't have something that is uh, parametric in the sense that you don't have any freedom to try to change things on that. But that was the first, and these are all pieces by other artists or people or friends, or this is a curator. Um, yeah,
Is that using
more
is that using the website then? That they kind of toyed
all of
around with
this,
the.
yes,
Okay.
all of these are using the website.
Great. And
And
was the project always intended to be, animated and interactive? Because I know you can within the piece you can mess around with using the up, down, left, right toggles on your computer.
yeah, yeah, to give a little bit the sense of that freedom where you could do stuff with um, with a piece, but still constrained. That you cannot change these doors into triangles or circles. It's you're still constrained when you have a piece that has a circle in the middle. You will have that circle in the middle, no matter how much you shift left or right or increase or decrease the speed. So it's something like that. But I did also an installation. I was I was having, let me see, I was having lunch with my kids, and I say I'm gonna build a machine that does nothing. And I mean, kids, what? So I started thinking on that machine, and I started building it, doing some woodworking. That's my daughter. She was doing some tinting on this side, and I send uh, steel to be cut. I did all the wiring behind it and all the Arduino programming. And at the end, you have that machine that has a projector underneath, and you play with the knobs and the sliders and the switches, and it changes how you look the output, the projection.
That's awesome. And was that something you've had experience with in the past as far as like building something like that?
That's the first Arduino installation that I built.
Wow. And how did you go about, building something, I mean, obviously I'm not a builder where I can, obviously create something like that. What did you have like tutorials that you looked at online, or did you have help from people, or seems like it wasn't
Yeah,
easy?
I watch videos from a crazy guy. He has a TED talk. Very um, he's a very smart guy, and look for him on YouTube. You will find us Look Mom Non Computer, and he's always working, doing modular synthesizers, and grabbing stuff and doing crazy machines. It, so I looked at what he was doing in terms of wiring. I learned a lot of wiring with him. Uh, I was looking at some Arduino stuff also online. Stack Overflow was also a source of information for me. But also, there is I think he's a professor, Sam Kusumano. His Instagram is Electricity for Progress. And I reached out, I wrote him, and he helped me with some problems that I was having. But he has experience doing um, Arduino stuff. And for woodworking, I think I did a couple of things woodworking with my dad, and yeah, that was on my own. The woodworking part was on my own.
Yeah, it looks like is this something where you still have this controller and you might utilize it down the road at a another exhibit, or
Well, I would do something different from tool if I was gonna use it in another exhibit, but this was before um, the Libertad Parametrizada release. You see, this is from April 19th, 2021.
Mhm.
And it was funny because I was still used to have non-collectible pieces, right?
Mhm.
And and at the opening of this show, uh, there was a guy that was, oh, this is so cool. How much for it? And I was like, um, I don't know. is I wasn't really thinking on selling it, and at the end I said I cannot sell this because it will require a lot of maintenance. I mean, it requires maintenance,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's I don't know if I will do this again. It's gonna be just installation for the show.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm gonna sell something like this.
yeah. Okay, cool. And I'm curious to know, so on the for this specific project, you called the rectangular shapes doors. I'm curious to know, like, how do you go about with the actual building of the shapes and style for this specific project?
It's my initial visualization of it were doors in space, like you open a door, which is a gesture to go from some space to another space. But if you have a door in the middle of the desert, you go through that door, but you're still in the same place. It's just like an illusion.
Hmm.
So that's the way that I have to communicate that illusion of freedom. Like you going to a door through a door, but you are still in the same space. So these are doors that takes you nowhere. And it is very interesting that I really didn't disclose that, or explanation of it. And one of the people that did that web stuff, um, was a professor, high school professor, and then she did a class about that and had her students do do their own pieces and then write about it. And one of the girls that did a writing about it and were picked as like the best, um, she said that these were doors that take you nowhere. And to me, that was really impressive. I mean, that somebody could understand that without any explanation.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm curious, as far as the selecting color palettes for this project, is there and also as far as the palette names themselves, is there any meaning behind the palette names and how you went about selecting the palettes for this project?
Yeah, I I I was just working with different color schemes that I liked. Some of those color schemes I were color schemes that I worked with before for other pieces. But at the beginning and the first Libertad Parametrizada, we're not using any color schemes, any palette. All of the coloring was were procedurally generated, where um, I pick a hue and programmatically pick two other colors, or in the case of Roombas, it picks a hue and goes, um, takes an angle to the left and to the right and pick that range of colors. But I had a lot of outputs that I didn't like, because it wasn't like when you have sliders and you select, because it was random. You don't have that um, human curation process where, okay, I like this combination, I like this contrast, I want to have less contrast and stuff like that. So procedurally it was really hard to have a good amount of outputs that I would approve. And it was actually in art blocks, and if I think it was Alexis and also Tyler, that say, hey, you should work with curated palettes, work with the palette, uh, instead of going procedurally, because it's going to be, um, you're going to get better results with that. And I was already reading a lot of Tyler's essays, and there are a couple of articles talking about color and color spaces. So for generative art, so I started developing some palettes, and some other I was already working with those for other stuff. Um, and the naming then, um, all the palettes but 7 had the names generated by an algorithm. It's a tool that generates words that uh, of fiction language. You set the rules for the language, like you want to use more vowels, you want to use more um, type of consonants, and are you going to use combined consonants and stuff like that. So they are all taken from this tool, uh, except seven of those palettes. Out of those seven, three are places and four are women. Those women are my wife, um, my two daughters, and Vera Molnar, because all the stuff that she did for generative art. And the places are um, Suchil, which is the park in front of in front of my house when where I was lived my five first years in Madrid, in Spain. Um, Urraca is a park that is nearby my house where I walk the dog every day, which is the present. And Singal is the place where I plan to spend the rest of my retirement in the mountains. It's a good coffee area in the mountains here in Panama.
Great. And that's real. Can you tell us a little bit about this photo right here? It looks like is that a real mural or is that something that you kind of added?
Oh, one of the one of the outputs of Libertad Parametrizada are vandalism, digital vandalism in Google Maps. So what I do is that I take pictures, I I edit them in Photoshop, and then I upload it to Google Maps. So make to make them look like they are real pictures. I don't post them. I just posted this one, um, but I have a couple of a few of these interventions in buildings, and I upload it, and people go there thinking that these are real, but I wish they were. Right?
Is
It's digital vandalism.
yeah. Is that something you'd be interested in doing though, if given the opportunity, as far as doing a mural from either this project or your second factory project?
What was that? Sorry.
If you were given the opportunity to do a mural, would you consider doing it? Is that
Oh,
something you would be
definitely.
interested in?
Yeah,
Okay,
definitely. Yeah.
awesome. And
Vandalism is good
yeah,
because it's without permission,
yeah.
and this is the case.
It's
I
digital
call it
though, you know.
vandalism.
So
Yeah, it's digital vandalism, but it's vandalism because I didn't have permission from anybody.
hmm I feel like we should be upvoting that photo on Google so that it's becoming like when people look up that park or that building, then that's like the go-to like default image. I think would be hilarious. Uh,
Yeah, that's. I'm gonna send the link.
yeah. Please do. So you have a tattoo of mint number 117. Can you tell us a little bit about the meaning of this specific mint and why it's so meaningful to you?
Well, yeah, it's not 117. Actually, I
Oh,
had
okay.
this tattoo way before launching the project.
hmm
Um, this is me in the middle. These are my two daughters, the bigger one, and this one my two kids,
Oh, nice. I love that.
the younger ones. Um, and well, this is Natalia. She's very attached to me, so this is why it's like overlapped.
uh-huh.
Um, this is Beatrice. She's far more independent. And these are the two kids. The boys, they are still at the time. I think they were 6 and 8,
hmm
maybe a year later, 7 and 9. Um, but I did this tattoo because before Libertad Parametrizada, I was ever thinking that my art wasn't enough. Um, it wasn't good enough to deserve existing, you know, and it was very disposable. I was doing experiments and throwing that away and destroying sometimes. Never kept it really. Uh, but this was the moment that I say, it doesn't matter if it is not good enough, and this was the moment that I was really committed to pursue full-time art career. And yeah, this was the time that I embraced my
Awesome.
art.
Appreciate you sharing that with us. Were there any mints, if you don't mind sharing some of your favorite mints, or maybe specific mints that surprised you from this project? That'd be great.
Well, I had a couple of Robston mints that I liked a lot,
Hmm.
like this one, uh, these two, which
Yeah.
I was surprised that they really work well with each other. Um, and then after that, well, I have these three that I'm gonna show them here. I sometimes I think this is my favorite one. This was minted by Isohedron.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know him
Yeah. Yeah.
personally?
Yep.
Yeah, it's Caleb. I like this. I think this is my favorite Roomba. You know, I don't know what it is,
I mean, I think the
but
colors are just perfect, and the speed also. I know you can adjust the speed, but I feel like that's like a really nice. It kind of fills up, the screen itself, and yeah, I think it's a beautiful mint.
yeah, I just don't know why, but I love this one. I like this one. I think it's very. I cannot. I don't know.
Sometimes you just know, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I like it. I think this is out of the circulars, maybe is the one that I like it the most.
Mhm.
Obviously, this one, this one was minted by Snowfro,
Oh, okay.
2017, and I watched the whole Naruto series with my kids.
Hmm.
For the ones that don't know, Naruto is an anime series, and there is one particular jutsu there that is called Amaterasu. That is a black fire that won't end until it consumes everything that is burning.
Hmm.
You know? And this one to me resembles a lot the
Yeah,
Amaterasu.
absolutely. It kind of looks like a D. Bachman mint. That would be my initial guess, but
Yeah, no, but this one was Snow
no,
Frost.
bro. Okay.
Yeah. This one I like it. It's a glitch, but it's a hidden one. You know, it's you have to work it to discover. This was this one was minted by X Shells.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So if you go right, and let me speed it a little bit so it's easier to find it. There you go.
Oh, wow. The solid piece.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, yeah. And then it kind of just blinks towards you.
Yeah, it's like a fluorescent lamp that is failing,
Hmm.
so it glitches on and glitches off when
So,
it.
is that something that you knew was a part of the project, or is that something where you just saw the mint? You're like, oh, wow, it wasn't, didn't expect it at all.
No, it 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 was part of the project, um, at the not the final phase, but it was something that I wanted to introduce later.
Hmm.
But it wasn't an accident. It wasn't purpose.
Okay.
It
Great.
wasn't purpose. I wanted to introduce a glitch. I think I was talking with Joshua Bagley. I was chatting with him when I told him I was gonna do that. I was showing progress. I show him um, the progress and how I was doing. First, it was just on and off, and then I show him how I was doing the blinking stuff. Yeah, I think it was with him that I was sharing this
Very cool.
process.
Such a nice mint. Are there any other ones, or you want to jump into Aithérios?
I like this Roomba a
Oh,
lot.
wow. Yeah. It's a really nice one.
I think this was the initial idea for the Roomba was something like this with this translucency. Actually, only the Roombas have the ability to be totally translucent. And this was also something that I wanted to explore more on later project and that he used um, this principle in Aithérios.
Cool.
This is 169, and this one was minted by CryptoDops. It I think it also has a glitch. Yeah, it's a probably, and you see it somewhere around. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, this is a glitch. But
Yeah.
since it's a duotone, it's not that noticeable. You see,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
that's the glitch. This one.
Yeah. That's cool.
I like this a lot. As you can notice, most of the ones that I like are on the door sides are
Big.
the big ones,
Okay.
which was also introduced later in the project. At the beginning, uh, there were only one size of doors.
Hmm.
Then I introduced this one, and then I ended up liking this one better. I love this mint. This was minted by Dave.
Hmm.
Um,
What about
and
this one? Anything in particular
I
that?
think it's the depth. I think it has more depth because the difference in colors of the padding and the hole in it.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It kind of I think it's that. I think it's the depth on it. And
Cool.
then there is one very unexpected, and this one has a history.
Oh, wow.
This one, the first time I saw it coming on the Mints channel, I
Mhm.
didn't like it. And the one that minted say, "Oh my God, this hurts my eyes. I don't like it." And I say, "Yes, I feel you. It's a series of unfortunate hash pairs." I actually wrote that on the channel. And Snowfro say, "What? I love it. I get it from you." And so he bought it from the, let me see in OpenSea. Uh, oh no, this was
Oh, you
minted by
minted
Snowfro.
Best.
It's
Okay, okay.
another similar to this one,
Hmm.
but it was like this. And then I realized that I don't know why I came here and wanted to see what was happening. And when I saw it in full screen, I started enjoying that one.
Yeah.
And the fact that it does something and it kind of looks like you are watching those stereographies. I feel that the wires are in front of the screen.
Hmm.
You know, it does something I don't know, but it gives this 3D feeling, but a real 3D feeling, like it's not on the same plane as the screen.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes
And
you just need a little bit of time with a mint, and you can kind of gain a deeper appreciation for it. I think that's really nice.
yeah, and when you see a JPEG uh, that has been compressed by Discord and is on a smaller size, I mean it's kind of unfair with a piece.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you need to
If
see
you
it
see
in its
it live
proper.
view, yeah, exactly.
Hmm. Definitely.
See it in live view in the whole. I was being unfair with this one.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you spent some time with it and turned around. I would love to get into learning more about your second project, Aithérios. Yeah, do you mind talking to us a little bit about that being your second drop on Art Blocks? What was the inspiration behind that? And was your first project? Was there any inspiration from that first project that led into Aithérios?
After this, I was going to, and I started doing some sketches for uh, for a series that its name is Twisted Timelines, and I actually share with two collectors, I think, and two or three fellow artists in art blocks. But I realized that at the moment that I didn't have knowledge or the tools to complete that. So I say, I'm going to do some other stuff while I get better at coding to reach and to really do what I wanted to do with twisted timelines. And I had I had this show at the Museum of Contemporary Arts here, and I had to do a piece. And while I was working on that piece, I was thinking on the process of coming up with an idea. Right? And the idea is kind of blurry at the beginning and ethereal, and maybe if you it's like the dreams that when you try to focus on remember on a dream, you cannot, but then you're thinking something else and then you remember, like that fuzzy, um, that fuzzy progress and of understanding something and to having an idea come to life, and which is also the inverse process of having a vivid memory of something that happened yesterday and it fades away with time, and then you don't remember that clearly 2 weeks later, and then 2 years later it's something blurry. So as I was thinking on that, Aithérios came to my mind as the process of illustrating that very creation process. And Aithérios wasn't going to be an art blocks project. It was just going to be a one piece. But then as I was thinking the many variations of that piece, I say, I think this might probably be uh, a couple of pieces to be released in Foundation. Let's make 6 pieces. And then then I was looking at it, I can make 2 series with this one. Maybe I can make 20 pieces. And then I was looking at the outputs and stuff like what's coming from it. I say, this is gonna be an art box.
Yeah, yeah. I think what I love about it also is that, between your first and second project, people are able to create sets with them, which I think is always just like a really beautiful thing. And I'm curious to know, how did you come up with the idea of the speckle texture? If you kind of zoom in a little bit closely on some of these mints, you can kind of see that, yeah, that speckledness. I think is really nice.
Well, that's actually what I was. Let me. This is not a good example for that. Probably this one. Um, when you close your eyes, that you see a lot of uh, floating particles
Yeah.
inside of your
Hmm.
eye. This was what I was trying to replicate at the beginning, because I like closing your eyes, trying to focus on something that you are visualizing. You have that noise there. So you visualize things, you see shadows of what you were watching that got burned into your retina. When you close your eyes, you still see that those stains and those particles floating around. So those particles are that. This is what I was trying to illustrate. Is the inner of my eyelids.
Mhm. Yeah, I thought you just executed that very well. It's very subtle also. Like if you're pretty far back, you really have to kind of like walk up a little bit closer and kind of see those little that fuzziness or speckles that you're kind of mentioning. What I really like is this the mega blocks? Is that what this specific mint is?
I think this is the big ones.
Oh, okay.
This is
Yeah,
the big ones.
I really
I
love the mega blocks. I feel like they're pretty special for this specific project. How do you recommend that these are displayed? I know you have. I'd love to talk a little bit more about how you print them on aluminum, and yeah, obviously this is a digital and animated piece as well.
Yeah, it will depend of the piece. This one will look great in aluminum,
Mhm.
and I have two different aluminum outputs. One is sublimation, and the other one is direct UV. The sublimation goes underneath. It kind of yeah, it sublimates inside the metal,
Mhm.
so it's very scratch resistant. The other one is printed on top, but then I put a, um, a glazing finish to protect the pigments underneath.
Okay.
And the sublimated has a little bit more, it has a little reflection on it. The direct doesn't. It's more like a paper print. So when it has a lot of dark areas, I will prefer, like this one, I would prefer the direct UV.
Mhm.
Otherwise, this will reflect a lot.
Yeah, makes sense. And how did you come up with the idea of actually printing them on aluminum, on an aluminum surface?
I was looking for I was looking for solutions. Solutions, for instance, I uh, to have bigger outputs. Um, this one was minted by Proper.
Mhm.
No, this wasn't minted by Proper. He bought it afterwards. Uh, but this is the one that we call the Northern Lights.
Mm. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, there's a really, really nice color to that one as well. Like, what was the biggest challenge that you faced with this project?
Well, one of the challenge that I faced that I spent hours was trying to avoid the possibility of rendering a background and just that. So this one was the closest to that uh, problem, and I did a run with 5,000 trying to find um, twins because I didn't want twins on the set. I wanted very different outputs, but there was the also a possibility to have a mint without any block on it.
Yeah.
So I did a run of 5,000, and there were no cases after I spent like a week trying to figure it out a way that this won't happen, you know. And at the end, I think this was the closest to not having anything rendered on the square view. Because if you go to the live view and you have a bigger one, you'll see all this space here,
Yeah.
you know, and this one. That was scary to me.
Yeah. Is,
Something like,
is that the
anyways,
only is
I,
that the only one that happened where, it had that minimalist kind of like look to it?
well, if you go vertically, you'll see a little bit more
Ah,
in the
okay.
vertical.
Interesting.
But yeah, I think this was the one with, if you see here in the square, um, you don't have half of this one and half of this one. So it's less than one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
And it's less than one. It's almost a just background mint,
Yeah.
which I know that uh, art blocks collector will find out. Oh, I got the only one with just background, but that wasn't the intention.
Yeah, exactly. Can you share some of your favorite mints from this project?
Those that I shared so far were um, some of my favorite mints or my surprises. This one is one of my favorite mints, definitely 801. And interestingly enough, this one was minted by a friend of mine.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
It's a
we
really nice
did.
one.
We went to MBA together. Um, but I like this is a mindfuck. You see that the
Some of
the
them are going
perspective.
up and down.
Continuous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
overlapping.
and you don't know what exactly is going on.
Yeah,
Uh, I these are mega blocks.
yeah, those are really
See
cool.
this one? Yeah. So I like the simplicity on this one
Hmm.
and the resultant composition. I like this a lot. I can imagine this one rendered. I mean, on a debond direct UV. Huge,
Yeah,
48 by 2032.
yeah, like on a big, yeah, a big piece of that would look really nice up on a wall, I think.
Yeah. Another that is that big is I think it's already being shipped today. Is Snow Frost number 3. Let me see if I can. I, I like these duotones also that because of the ghosts that come afterwards. I mean, the first pass will you will see these, and
Hmm.
then these are the ghosts.
Oh yeah.
They come afterwards, and when this happens, they leave a trace that makes it look like they are reflections. We don't see it very well here,
Hmm.
um, but if we see on the, you can notice that here.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's a very polished, or here you see, looks like it's a very polished surface. It isn't. It was my intention, but I like that that texture. Um, I like this a lot also.
Yeah, I thought you did a really great job as far as the speed of the animation. Also, sometimes they take a little bit longer, and it's just it just makes you. For me, I just have a deeper appreciation for the ones that take a little bit of time because you have to be patient in order for them to fully render.
Oh, yeah, we already see that. Okay, while I was doing the testments and just the test in the script, from time to time there were these duotones where the background is lighter than the foreground,
Hmm.
and this makes it look like it's a glowing fog. Like these are crystals growing on a over a glowing fog, maybe magma underneath. And there are not many of this. I wish there were more. And there is not a single one with the combination that I liked better. And I have a couple of tests with that one. This is the closer to that one, but it's still not bad. It looks like there is a light underneath.
Hmm.
And I mean, this is 2D drawing.
Yeah.
These are just planes over planes. There's no real texture or lining. There's no light here anywhere. It's something that happens.
Yeah. It's a beautiful effect. Looks great.
Yeah, I like this one.
Yeah, maybe you can
And this
show us
one,
one or two more, and yeah, I'd love to get into plotting after this.
let's do that. Yeah. Yeah, this one is also one of my favorites. I even use this one as a test. Let me. See, I use this one to test colors and definition. The lights is 403. As I use this one, also is 142, I think. This in the middle, and this one is I think it's propers. I use this one because it goes from this yellow to a very near black.
Yeah.
So I use them for testing. Yeah, this one is really vibrant.
Yeah. The colors, I think, just really mesh well together on that specific piece. I think that's owned by what, Crypto Dubs? Yeah.
Yes, minted by. Oh, this is something interesting that this happens a lot in several Aithérios, but I think this is very meaningful to what we are doing right now in terms of thinking about the future of these pieces. Um, uh, I was at the beginning, I was very ephemeral in the sense that I was doing pieces that I didn't really want it to be shown. It doesn't matter if it lasted uh, a couple of days or 30 seconds, or if it was just an experience. But lately, and I mean in the last 2 years, I've been thinking more on something that stays after I'm dead,
Mhm.
and all the outputs that I do, I make sure that those are archival quality, and that you can you can ensure that you will have that piece for 80 years,
Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely.
200 years. And when we are working with generative art and we're saving this code on a blockchain that can maybe be reproduced 500 years from now, I think about, okay, I'm doing these aluminum prints with the technology that we have right now. But in 500 years, the same set of instructions can be executed on a much better technology. So we, for years, have been uh, doing things on the screen with 16 million colors, which is the 24 bits depth, which is what we have right now. And because of that, you can see this is white and goes to this blue, dark blue. So you will have something, all the colors you have in this gradient should be from white going through light blue, medium blue, darker blue, and dark blue. Why do we have reds and greens and yellows in here?
Yeah.
We have that because you have to round to 25 6 levels of red, green, and blue. And sometimes the proportion of these, because you have to round it to the next whole number, are not the same. So the hue will be shifting from one side to the other. What's going to happen when we don't have only 256 levels of each channel? What's going to happen when we have more than 3 channels? These are things that we are doing, and they will, instead of doing an acrylic painting that it's not going to be as good in the future, we're doing things that will be better maybe in the future if you want to.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
I do like this unexpected change of color.
Yeah. It's very, it's, I'm so glad that you pointed it out and were able to explain it, because I never would have known like how, those colors were actually created on this particular mint. So I think that's really cool. I appreciate you sharing that with us. I would
Yeah,
love,
I think about those
yeah,
things.
definitely. And I would love to learn a little bit about some of your plotting now. I know that, like I said earlier, you when I met you in Marfa, you had a pen plotter set up, and it was my first time seeing a pen plotter like in action, which I thought was really cool. Like, how did you get into pen plotting?
Well, I was plotting since I went to college, but it was technical plots for architecture. Um, but I I started looking at plots in Instagram. I think it was Arnaud. I think it's a French generative artist that was doing a lot of experiments with plotting. And I saw the hashtag #AxiDraw, so I got one. I started experimenting with it. I remember when I was plotting in architecture school, but it wasn't the same thing. I think I don't have the first. I'm really bad at registering stuff. Like you see, I think I have this plot here, which is, yeah, it's very late plotting. I don't have something before that. I shared some plotting. This was testing uh, for Marfa. I
Hmm.
was testing creating colors. These are refillable markers. So I take acrylic paints and mix it to get the right color that I want. So I can reproduce the means with a better um, precision.
Yeah,
You know?
that's so cool. I think pen plotters are so special. And is that something? Would you ever, release a project where it was specifically to be, displayed as a pen plotter? Like I know Plottables is a Powerball
Yeah, I'm
box.
thinking about plottables definitely.
Hmm.
And I want to do that.
Yeah,
I want to do that.
that's so cool.
Um, I yeah, I don't think I have. I have a plot that I did for my ingredient test. Sorry, this is an ingredient, but this is not this is not the minted ingredient, but there was a contest, and I was one of the winners. So this was an ingredient test.
Oh, nice. That's really cool. I didn't know that. And how would you? Because I feel like a lot of people, or some people in the community are becoming interested in pen plotting. Are there specific, pen plotters you recommend, or websites or resources to learn
I
more?
definitely think that AxiDraw is a good starting. It's the only one I have ever
Hmm.
had. Yeah, it's this one. It's the AxiDraw. Um, and Dan Cat, he's the man.
Yeah, I agree.
On his website, you will see a lot of experiments. Also, he has a YouTube, so you will see things that have been doing some ideas, some recommendations. Uh, I think it's a good resource.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll have to share that in the show notes for people that are tuning in. Do you have any other projects you're currently working on for release later this year, or any exhibits that we should look out for?
Uh, I don't have anything to show about that. Maybe some notes, but I've been working with Emmanuel Moses. He will be releasing soon Tunnels and Portals,
Hmm.
which actually is only túneles dimensionales. Actually, yeah, tunnels. And I also have been helping Rosendo, which we had a Minters
Mentors and makers,
maker.
yeah,
So he applied also,
great.
and I've been helping him. Stuff that I've been through.
Yeah,
Like putting it together to make wrapping it so you can upload it on the uh, Arblox platform, stuff like that.
yeah. I think it's.
Things that I mistakes that I made.
Hmm.
stuff like that. But now that I'm finishing with that, I will be focusing on Bristol. Bristol is it was also the same of as Twisted Timelines.
Hmm.
With Bristol, I left it at this because the kind of things that I was envisioning were not able to do with my current skills. Now I think I have the current skills to do that. For instance, Brise Soleil, it, it's something that protects the facades of buildings from the sun. So I wanted to project the light from the sun on that on a particular time and orientation and latitude of that facade. So I have to do some calculation about the sun position and stuff like that. And then I wanted that shadow not to be just like a simple line shadow, but I wanted that shadow to have some dithering and some fall off and some gradient on it and stuff like that. I wasn't able to do it and I didn't have the tools. I'm still not able to do it. I don't really have the tools, but I at least know how to get there.
Yeah.
So this will probably be one of my releases this year, and then after that I will start working on Twisted Timelines. I don't know if this year uh, or maybe next year,
Cool.
because those are projects that I really want to work a lot
Yeah.
on them.
I think it's yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing. Some of the projects you're working on. Definitely have to keep an eye out for these upcoming releases. And what do you do and when you're not coding, working on any projects? Like, what do you do outside of that to kind of decompress or I don't know. What do you just do in your spare time when you're not coding a project?
Well, I do kite surfing.
Oh, really?
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, I practice kite boarding, but windy season here in Panama is just from December to April.
Mm.
After that, we don't have enough wind to go navigate. Um,
So it's a season now then.
it's the season now, yeah,
Okay. Cool.
yeah.
That's awesome.
And music, definitely music. It's something that I like to jam with my kids. We do jamming sessions. Um, there's one of them play the drums and the other one plays the keyboards. My daughter once is bass player, and so I grab the guitar and we kind of and the other one sings and plays the ukulele. So yeah, we I like to do some jamming session with them
Yeah.
from
Is
time to
that would you ever include music in any of your upcoming or future projects on our blocks? Like some kind of generative, element?
time. Definitely. The moment that I knew that Artblocks was including Tone.js on the libraries,
Mm.
I say yes. And then the algorithm came. The
Mm.
thing is, my my skills are enough to release a project in P5, not vanilla.
Okay.
And Artblocks needs one and only one, allows one and only one library.
Yeah.
So if I want to use Tone.js, I have to do my coding in plain JavaScript.
Got it.
So I have to first learn how to do it in plain JavaScript so I can then focus on the music generating and using Tone.js.
Mm. Very cool. Well, yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that too. I know that'll it sounds like that'll obviously take a little bit of time to kind of get used to that and but yeah, I look forward to that because I know that music is obviously a special part of who you are. And
However, I did 3 audio reactive pieces for Foundation.
mhm. Oh, okay.
And actually, the three collectors of those pieces are prior collectors from Libertad Parametrizada.
Oh, that's great.
So
Very cool.
all of them were already collectors,
Nice.
all three of them. But those are pieces that I didn't touch designer, and I started with the music. I did the music first, and these are three variations of the same theme, and then the graphics will be created, uh, or yeah, the parameters of the graphic are being controlled by the different instruments or sounds in the music.
Very cool. And finally, like, how can people, reach you? Should they have any questions, any social media plugs? I know you have Instagram.
zJorge, it's my Instagram and my Twitter.
Okay.
Um, I have a website, but it's not very relevant. I mean, if you want to go deeper, you can go through my Instagram and go to the profile, and you'll reach my website.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, mainly that, and Discord. You can DM me.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think it's zjorge.eth. Is that what your username is?
yeah, yeah, or zJorge hashtag 2828.
Okay.
My
Cool.
user. Yeah,
Awesome.
and
Well, thank you, Jorge, for joining me on After Dinner Minutes. I really appreciate it. It was really nice to kind of learn about, your previous art blocks projects, but then also learn about what's to come as far as, future projects. I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes out of, the art blocks minter when you release your next project.
thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for listening.
Definitely. And on next week's After Dinnerman show, which has been pre-recorded, we have generative artist Cooper Jameson. Cooper is also on the curation board, and that one was pre-recorded a couple days ago. It'll be released on March the 23rd. We have a Twitter Spaces discussion called Minters and Makers. It's a weekly show with a variety of artists, collectors, and other notable community members. This upcoming week, tomorrow, Thursday, March 17th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, we have MP Kaz, that's Michael Kozlowski, who did the Chimera project on Art Blocks, Thank You X, and Sterling Crispin. You can tune into the conversation via the Art Blocks Twitter handle, which is artblocks_IO. And a great thing about that show, as well as After Dinner Mints, is that both of these shows have now been turned into a podcast, which is now available on Apple, Spotify, and other major platforms out there. Finally, we have a weekly newsletter that gets delivered once a week with information on upcoming drops and generative art related news. You can find a link to the newsletter in the description of this YouTube video. Again, I want to thank zJorge for joining me on After Dinner Mints. It was really great having you on, and I know we've met in Marfa. I hope to meet you again and connect again soon, hopefully later this year when we have our annual event. For those in the community, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the Artblocks YouTube channel. Be kind to each other, buy what you love, set up a hardware wallet, and we will see you all next week. Thanks again, everyone.
Bye.